As Mother's Day weekend is here, I just want to celebrate all the moms out there, all that you do for your children, your loved ones, the community, your church, your job. I'm just celebrating moms in the fullest on today. Let's talk. Welcome to Conversations with a Modern Girl, the podcast hosted by myself, Shamika Patterson, the guru of mental health and well-being. Join me as we embark on a journey of exploration and discovery, as we deepen our thoughts, as we discuss topics that affect our community. I coined myself the queen of randomly thinking, and as I'm randomly thinking and having these discussions in these podcast episodes, I invite you to join me with these thought-provoking discussions on a wide range of subjects, from lifestyle trends to the culture of the Black church, and also discussing some obstacles that we face in middle-class America, also to the intersection of mental health and well-being. Be prepared to be inspired, challenged, and empowered as we engage in meaningful conversations that aim to spark positive change and personal growth. Get ready to expand your horizons and enhance your understanding of these important issues in Conversations with a Modern Girl. I remember as a child growing up, there was this tapestry that hung in the kitchen of my grandmother's house that my mom had stitched together for her for one Mother's Day. And it read, "A mother's love has no end." And I remember reading that throughout life. As you pass through the kitchen, you glance, there it is. And it always stuck with me that a mother's love has no end. You hear stories about mothers who carry their young, carry their babies, deliver their babies, bring them home, nurture them, and love on them and help them become who they are as an adult. And it's a process. It's not anything that's easily done. And no one gives you a manual to tell you how to complete this heartfelt, lifelong task. In some cultures, they feel as if they have done their jobs once their children have reached high school graduation. And it is the pivotal moment that a lot of mothers or families feel like, I've done it, I did it, we've reached this mark, and now they can go off into the world. And then you have some families or cultures that get to that part and they say, well, we are now embarking on a new phase in life. Lord, help me be able to navigate this. Either way, the love of a mother never dies. It never goes away. And that's just something to give thought to and to honor and praise, whatever that looks like, And on Mother's Day, it's a beautiful day for many, and it's a sad day for some, as some have lost their mothers, or there are some that do not have relationships with their moms, or don't know who their moms are. It's just different scenarios for different people. So Mother's Day can be glorified in many lights and aspects, but it also can be a deeming time for others that are out there. I always try to remember those that have lost their moms or do not have relationships with their moms during this time. And I say a silent prayer for them for strength, endurance, and love. I remember having a conversation with someone about being a mom. And, as my children are growing and, one is exiting middle school and now going into high school, and one will be entering middle school. It's a trying time for me because I feel as if time is running out for me to pour everything that I know into my children. And I don't know why I feel like that. It's some kind of unspoken rule I feel like is there. And, it gives me anxiety a little bit, but I always calm myself by saying, I can only do what I can. I can only teach by example, and I can only, redirect my children for they can go down the paths in life that they choose. As I was saying, I had a conversation with someone recently, and I was saying that if I get them to the point in life where I feel like they can't leave me, they cannot depart from me. They must stay with me. I must be there to help guide them, to continue to do things for them, to continue to make decisions for them, to continue to aid them in every obstacle that may occur in their life. I failed. Because my job as a mom is to prepare them the best that I can so they can leave. Now, that doesn't say I want you to, because we hold on to our babies as long as we can. But the ultimate goal is to prepare our children so that they can go out into the world and they can thrive, they can make it. Birds, eagles, whatever birds it is, they teach their young how to fly, and they fall. They fall, and they have to grasp the concept or the instinct that they have to flap their wings and to fly and to flourish. And some birds, their young will leave the nest and they will fly out, and if they fall, they fall, and some of them hit the ground and die. Very brutal, very brutal, but it's a harsh reality that happens in nature. And so I wanted to get on this podcast and just briefly talk about moms and, the things that I'm sure most moms think about as they are navigating motherhood. And motherhood has different phases, right? It has those phases where we're pregnant and we're carrying our babies and we're learning things about our body. We're learning about the changes in our bodies. Our bodies are changing unbeknownst to us in ways that we can't quite put our fingers on, right? So like mentally, physically, we are altering for this bundle of joy that we're carrying. And some of us have good pregnancies. Some of us don't. Some of us have sickness in our pregnancies. Some of us do not. Some of us have smooth pregnancies, and some of us have very complex pregnancies, but you're carrying, and it's a labor of love. And once we get to the point of having our child and we have these great expectations and we have anticipated this pivotal moment to deliver this child, it's a joyous time, but also it may be a sorrowful time for some parents, because everyone that is pregnant or gives birth to a child does not have the opportunity to take that child home, right? I don't want to be morbid, but I want to give you a full out landscape, I guess I can say, of taking into consideration not just your own journey, but others' journey as well into motherhood, which is very complex. And it can be very complex for minorities as well. But that's for another podcast. But, we reach this point, we have our babies, we deliver them. Some of us have healthy babies and we deliver them, we take them home. Some of us do not. Some of us have babies that do not make it home with us. We always carry them in our hearts for the rest of their lives, for the rest of your life, rather. You carry that love for that child throughout life. And so you're in that phase of where you delivered this baby, you bring the baby home, parenthood continues to move forward. As you see your child blossom into a toddler, infant to a toddler to, now school age child. It's an entire process, different phases. Even when you've lost a child, it's different phases of grief that you go through in those sentiments that you continue to carry in relation to what the trauma that you have endured. And if you then move on to have other children, you always still carry that memory or that trauma, and you learn how to adjust and adapt to that normalness that you feel, that emptiness that you still feel for that child that may not have made it to this side with you. So that's another phase of parenthood, and then learning to navigate with your children. So let's get to, the talking about the infant and learning their sleep schedule, learning your schedule if you're nursing or their feeding schedules, when they get sick, when they have these doctor's appointments, all these different things, when they learn to turn over, when they learn to sit up, when they learn to start crawling, different things that we experience with so much excitement in motherhood. Then they reach toddlers and they're running around the house, and you discover about yourself patience. You discover patience you never thought you had. And you also discover things about yourself of being selfless. You become less selfish. You become less self-centered. And your focus turns into the focus of that child. And so as that toddler blossoms to school age, I remember my mom would always tell me when they get to school age, oh, it goes by so fast, because once they hit school age, it seems like they just zip through. And that is true. That has reigned to be true, because it seems like mine just started schooling, and now here I have one going to high school, and I have another one, entering the middle school segment of life. And so I say all of this, and I say all this because the main point of this is celebrating moms in whatever aspect that you want to, a motherhood, and some of us are not mothers. Some of us have been adopted, or we have taken on the role of caring for our nieces, our nephews. Some of us are godparents. It's different roles. You don't always have to have a child to experience motherhood. Maybe a different degree of motherhood, but you're still experiencing that and having these emotional ties to these children and a hand in rearing them to be the adults that you would hope they can be in life, right? So during this weekend that we are loving on and celebrating our mothers, I ask you to think about mothers in any type of walk of life, in any definition of what that motherhood looks like for that individual. We want to make sure that we are capturing that for everyone that's out there that has that role, because it's an important role. It's an important role that mothers have, not just as nurturing that child but the family, and also setting the tone for what goes on in your home. The mother is the center of that, if that makes sense. So, as a mother, it's not just I'm raising my children, I'm rearing my children, but it's also I'm also working on building this home, this safe haven with my family. And it's just a all to be all type situation. Now, I said before that we are working to rear our children so they have the ability to go out into the world and navigate things for themselves. And we try to pour into them what we can. That goes back to when I was talking about the anxiety sometimes I feel, as now my child is going to ninth grade, and I feel like, oh my God, I have 4 years to try to put everything in her that I know. But that's not so. 4 years to watch her grow and become the young woman that I know she can and will be. Giving her the tools that she needs to navigate life is more so what it is that I'm starting to process and do with my daughter. My son, the same, letting them understand that there are ups and downs in life, and letting them understand that there are going to be issues with relationships. There are going to be friendships. There are going to be friend circles that you may not fit in. There are going to be things that you think is weird about yourself, but that's who you are. Coming into yourself and discovering who you are. I have this thing with my children where it's kind of like open dialogue that we have. And we've had this since they probably, was toddlers. We get in the car after school and they will unload. And I mean, sometimes it gets very exhausting, especially when I've worked a full day and I'm picking them up, and then before the door closed good, they are unloading everything. And as tired as I may be, I always listen and provide good feedback, because that's what I'm here for. If you can't get what you need from your mom, where can you get it from? I'm 40 years old and I still get feedback from my mom. I still go to my mom for things. She's never steered me wrong. And she may give her opinion on things, and I can either accept, pull from that opinion, or I can choose to ignore it altogether and do my own thing. But at the end of the day, it's still my choice and my decision. And that's what we have to see as moms. We have to see that our children are individuals. They're an extension of who we are, but they are individuals. Some kids are very headstrong. Some kids are leaders. Some are not. Some are very vocal, some, are very, are in the state where they can really express themselves. And some children are not. But as mothers, we have to be in tune with them enough to know what our child needs. We parent our children differently. That's something people don't often talk about. But we parent our children differently because each person individually needs something differently, right? So whereas your firstborn may be a whole lot more independent, more adventurous, may pick up their school lesson and things quicker than your youngest child, we have to understand that and not compare, but to meet each of them where they are. And sometimes it's difficult to do, especially if parents have not been given the tools to know how to do that. But as we celebrate our mothers this weekend, I just try to bring it back into the main objective is to focus on your role as a mom. And not only focus on your role, but be thankful. It's grateful. It's a beautiful thing to be a mother, to be a mother, to have your children and see them grow and blossom into these beautiful flowers that you planted. You and your husband planted, or you and your significant other planted years ago, and you get to partake in loving them, nurturing them, educating them, and providing the very best for them. Again, no one gives you a manual for this. Let me go back to that. But you do the best that you can. And in preparation for them to leave the nest, you make sure that you help them understand differences, not just in themselves, but in others. We help them understand issues in society. We help them understand money management. We help them understand how to, speak up for themselves and not to feel intimidated by others. These are things that most mothers want to instill in them. The whole goal and objective is to make them better people, to make them better than you are. That's, that type of parenting. There are going to be rules, there are going to be regulations in life that we have to all abide by. And that's something we have to teach our children and explain why. When I had my little ones, I would let them explore and ask questions. And I will always take the time to explain to them, even when they were infants, what was going on. Okay, we're getting in the car. Mama's putting you in your seat belt. You're going to sit tight. Don't cry. We're going to get to the store. Just conversations, just keeping them engaged, even if they couldn't understand it, but just developing the habit of me developing the habit of building that type of rapport with my children, incorporating them into what is going on instead of just get in the car, sit down, shut up. And, as they become toddlers, understanding that, okay, they're having a meltdown. And, when we were reared, it was more so do what I say. Don't ask no questions. You're going to get a beating. Let's just be real. That's what it was. And so we try to learn from those things and incorporate better things or better methods for our own children. At least that's what my husband and I try to do. Now I ain't saying nobody ain't getting no butt spanking, but what I'm saying is understanding and knowing your child and then setting limitations and helping them explore their feelings in a healthy way. Now, we ain't let the children run the house, but there were ground rules. There was routines. There was explanation of why you can't do this. No, we are going to bed, or, this is night time. Turn off the light. Let's go to sleep. Things like that. No, it's time to eat. Let's sit down at the table, or you're getting in your high chair, letting them know those rules and those repetition and keeping things, open and honest. And I guess that's why now when I talk to my children or they get in the car and just completely unload, I guess that's because we've always set that tone that you can just talk freely or express yourself or share things with us and not feel judgment or shame about anything that you may be thinking or feeling or just wanting to know. Who better to tell you about life than me? Hell, I lived it, so that's what you want to have. And as a mom, that's something that I really pride myself on, is having that open communication with both my children. Now, sometimes I kind of cringe and like, I don't know, what is she finna say or what is he finna say? But I do my best to sit and listen and navigate and just give them just enough to be able to figure things out on their own and then stand firm in their decision and choices in life. Again, we don't get a manual to tell us how to do this. It just, some people say it's instinct. Some people say, you just kind of go with the flow. Some people say, hey, I will get it the best way I can. We're just trying to discover this thing ourselves. Whatever way it is, whatever motherhood and your interaction with your children looks like, it's yours. I talk about well-being, the state of being healthy and happy, and that looks different for everyone, So if, having a solid relationship with your children and being the core of that family is what works for you, outstanding, whatever that may look like. And so in this weekend, I just wanted to, just get on podcast and just talk about motherhood. I hope, that some of the things that I'm saying have been some good pointers, and I welcome any feedback in this process. But I just wanted to really, try to talk about motherhood. Mothers, being a mom is the highest honor that I could have. I don't know what I would really be doing if I didn't have my children. At one point in life, I didn't think I would have children. I was not even thinking about having children. And later on in life, I realized, hey, yeah, I do want to have children, and I'm going to pray that I be good at what I'm doing with my children. And so I was blessed to have my daughter first and kind of navigate motherhood with her first. And so when the second one came along, just came on in the bunch, and we just made it do what it do. It hasn't been easy. There have been times that I've questioned my own self or my own judgment. I'm not perfect by no means, but I give myself grace just like I give my children grace so that I can become who I need to be and they can become who they need to be throughout this entire process. One consistent prayer that I keep and I say consistently is, Lord, help me to be the mother you would have me to be to your precious babies, because they are God's. They belong to God. They're mine. I birthed them. It was part of his plan. But I want to be the mother that he would have me to be to my children. And not only do I say that, I take it even further and say, Lord, help me to be the wife that you would have me to be to my husband. Help me to be the daughter you would have me to be to my mom. Help me to be the sister. Help me to be the friend that you would have me to be to my friends. See, that's where it goes back to motherhood is. It can be different aspects in your life and how we are the core, the core. Women are natural nurturers. That's who we are. That's our instinct. And to be humble enough to ask God to help direct you in those areas, I think it's very humbling. And that's where I desire to be, the mother. I want to be able to be that individual for them. And I know, like I say, it's not going to always be perfect. I'm not going to always have the answers, but I think transparency is the most beautiful thing that you could ever give your children. Now, age appropriate, but transparency. It normalizes so much for them. It normalizes life for them because, children they idolize their parents. They idolize their mom, their dad. They see them in this light. But when you start giving examples or teachable moments that can relate back to situations or scenarios that they may be experiencing themselves in their own life, oh my God, that's a gem. That is a gem to give to them. And it helps not only build a relationship with your children, but it also helps you kind of peel off some of the layers of your own life that you may not have even explored or want to even revisit again, but it normalizes it. It makes it okay. And it helps someone else not to have the same mistakes or to go through some of the things that you may have experienced yourself. So on this weekend, as we are celebrating moms out there, I send a shout out and a virtual hug to each and every mother, wherever you are in the world. I send a huge thank you to you. I want you to know that you are seen, you are loved, and whatever your weekend looks like, whatever your Mother's Day look like, whether you're mourning the loss of your mom, whether you're mourning the loss of any type of relationship you had with a mother's figure, if you're celebrating your birth of your child, if you're celebrating being a mother in this moment or the anticipation of being a mom, I celebrate you. I honor you. I wish you the very best. I hope you enjoyed this podcast. Wanted to make it brief, wanted it to be as authentic as I could. I hope you enjoyed it. I welcome feedback. Please make some comments. I will swear I'll reply back. I will. So for everyone out there, have a good, safe, and happy Mother's Day weekend. Be blessed. Thank you to all the listeners out there. I ask you to please go to my YouTube page and like and subscribe to Conversations with the Martin Girl. Also, take the time to follow me on my social handles. Instagram is Martin Girl Movement. Facebook, same Martin Girl Movement. Thank you.